The patrol car idled outside Sweet Haven Bakery, its neon sign bathing the dashboard in a soft pink hue, the kind that made the night feel both cozy and restless. Officer Tom Baxter slouched in the driver's seat, his fingers tapping an impatient beat against the steering wheel, the leather worn smooth from years of late shifts. The radio crackled to life, cutting through the hum of the engine with the dispatcher's dry voice. All units, 10 to 18 in progress. Girl in progress, Oak and 5th. Respond if you're not too busy wiping glaze off your chins. Tom smirked, his lips curling as he glanced at his partner, Officer Cruller Cal, who was elbow-deep in a powdered cruller, the crumbs cascading onto his lap like a miniature snowstorm. Girl in progress, huh? Sounds like another kid stirring the pot out there. You gonna finish that thing, Cal? Or are we actually moving? Cruller Cal grinned, his teeth flecked with sugar as he brushed his hands together, sending a puff of powder into the air. You just can't take the donut out of the cop, Tom. Give me 1 sec, gotta stash the goods proper. He crammed the rest of the cruller into his mouth, chewing with exaggerated gusto, his voice muffled as he added, "Not my fault, I've got a weakness for these beauties. Let's roll." The streets of Riverside stretched out before them, lined with sleepy storefronts and flickering streetlights, the kind of quiet that made Tom's skin itch for something to happen. He'd signed up for the badge years back, lured by the promise of action, and, if he was honest with himself, the occasional perk that came with it. Why did I become a police officer? Because I heard police can eat a lot of donuts, he'd quipped during training, a throwaway line that had stuck to him like glaze on fingers. But tonight wasn't about the snacks. It was about the call, the real work that kept the city's pulse steady. They pulled up to Oak and 5th, the cruiser's tires crunching over loose asphalt and scattered leaves, the sound sharp in the still air. A teenage girl stood under a buzzing street lamp, her arms folded tight across her chest, her scowl aimed at the shadows where a handful of kids bolted like startled deer. Her denim jacket glittered with a rhinestone bat, catching the light as she shifted her weight. Tom stepped out, his badge gleaming faintly, while Cruller Cal trailed behind, brushing crumbs off his uniform with a swipe that only smeared them further. "What's going on here?" Tom asked, his voice steady but carrying the weight of someone who'd asked that question 1,000 times before. The girl huffed, her breath fogging in the cool night. "These jerks were hassling me, yelling stuff, throwing junk my way. I told them to get lost, but they wouldn't back off." Cruller Cal chuckled, stepping closer, his boots scuffing the pavement. "Sounds like idiots on the loose, huh? I saw this one guy try to bribe his way out of trouble with a donut once. Hilarious. Didn't fly with the cop, though, and it won't fly here. You good, kid?" She nodded, her shoulders easing just a fraction. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just want him gone so I can get home." Tom scanned the alley, his eyes narrowing as he spotted 2 figures ducking behind a rusted trash bin, their silhouettes clumsy against the brick wall. "Stay put," he told her, then nudged Cruller Cal with an elbow. "Let's grab 'em. No pastry payoffs tonight. I mean it." They moved fast, boots echoing off the concrete, their shadows stretching long under the streetlights. The kids froze as they closed in, hands shooting up like they'd rehearsed it in some delinquent playbook. "We didn't do anything." One yelped, a lanky boy with a hoodie pulled low, his voice cracking under the bravado. "Right," Tom said, snapping cuffs on with a practiced flick. "Let's talk cops and donuts. Why do you think we're here? Snack break? Nope, it's you clowns keeping us up past bedtime." Back at the car, the girl watched with wary eyes as they loaded the kids into the back seat, their protests muffled by the closing door. "Thanks," she muttered, kicking at a pebble with the toe of her sneaker, her voice low but genuine. "Didn't expect you guys to bother showing up." Cruller Cal grinned, leaning against the cruiser's hood, his bulk making it creak slightly. "What's the history of us donut lovers? We show up when the shop's shut down and the trouble kicks off. No problem, kid. Get home safe." Driving back to Riverside PD, the radio crackled again, the dispatcher's tone tinged with a hint of amusement. "Unit 9, retail incident at QuickMart on Pine. Customers demanding the manager. Name's Karen." Tom groaned, his head tipping back against the seat as he met Cruller Cal's eyes in the dim light. "Karen? Oh, we know that drill. The whole 'I need the boss right now' routine? Skip it?" Cruller Cal nodded, licking a stray bit of sugar off his fingers with a satisfied smack. Yep, if you ever wondered where the term Karen came from, it's from messes like this. Pure chaos. Let's book these kids first and call it a night. The night stretched on, the cruiser weaving through Riverside's quiet veins, the hum of the engine a steady companion. Tom couldn't shake the feeling in his gut. Karen wasn't done with them. He'd seen her type before, the ones who turned a simple complaint into a crusade, and they never faded quietly. With Cruller Cal's pastry obsession in the mix, donuts were bound to get tangled up in it somehow, whether he liked it or not. The next night found Tom and Cruller Cal back on patrol, parked outside QuickMart under its flickering sign, the letters buzzing like a tired insect. They'd dodged Karen's call the day before, but dispatch wasn't letting it slide this time. Unit 9, retail disturbance, same spot, the radio barked. She's returned and she's loud, real loud. Tom rubbed his eyes, the fatigue of back-to-back shifts settling into his bones. Knew Karen wouldn't quit. Bet she's waving an expired gift card around like it's a winning lottery ticket. Cruller Cal laughed, a deep rumble as he pulled a bear claw from a grease-stained bag stashed under the passenger seat. Something here doesn't smell right. Probably her vibe. Bet she's got a wallet stuffed with old coupons, receipts from 3 years back, and a rant locked and loaded like a pro. They rolled into the parking lot, the cruiser's headlights sweeping over a small crowd milling outside QuickMart's glass doors. Karen stood front and center, arms swinging wildly, her voice cutting through the dusk like a siren nobody wanted to hear. This is ridiculous. I need the manager right now, and I mean right now. Tom stepped out, adjusting his stance, his boots planting firm on the cracked asphalt. Ma'am, what's the issue this time? Karen whirled on him, her ponytail whipping like a flag in a storm, her eyes blazing with indignation. The issue? They won't take my return. I've got rights, you know, actual rights. Bank lies, calls cops on innocent people. This is what's happening here. Cruller Cal smirked, nibbling at his bear claw, the pastry flaking onto his shirt. Donut discriminate, donut harass. That's my rule. Chill out, lady. What's in that sack you're waving around? She shoved a plastic bag at him with a huff, a faded sweater spilling out alongside a crumpled receipt, the ink so faint it might as well have been a ghost. This, bought it ages ago, and it's trash, falling apart at the seams. They won't refund me, and I'm not standing for it. Tom squinted at the receipt, holding it up to the store's light, the paper crinkling in his grip. Ma'am, this thing's ancient. Looks like it's been through a washing machine. Store rules say. Rules? Karen screeched, her voice hitting a pitch that made the crowd wince. I don't care about your rules. I want fairness, justice. I've seen cops accept donuts as bribes, hilarious stuff, but I'm not that cheap, not by a long shot. The crowd giggled, a ripple of amusement spreading through the onlookers, and Cruller Cal nearly spat out a chunk of bear claw, coughing into his fist. Gotta give it up to the coffee donut combo. It's a winner every time. But no one's slipping you a cruller to hush up, lady. Let's fix this the boring way. Tom stepped in, palms raised like a referee calling a timeout. Okay, Karen, here's the deal. We'll talk to the manager, but you've got to pipe down a notch. Agreed? She huffed, crossing her arms so tight her knuckles whitened. Fine, but I'm not leaving empty-handed, not after this nonsense. Inside, the manager, Mike, a frazzled guy with glasses perched crooked on his nose, met them at the counter, his apron smeared with what looked like ketchup from an earlier spill. She's been here forever, he muttered, keeping his voice low as he glanced toward the door. Keep saying explain like I'm 5. Why can't I return this? I laid out the policy, 30 days, no exceptions. But she's deaf to it, like I'm speaking another language. Cruller Cal leaned over, wiping bear claw crumbs onto his sleeve, leaving a greasy streak. I once saw a cop kindly decline a donut from a guy trying to charm his way out of a ticket. Didn't work then, and it's not working now. She's a rock, huh? Mike nodded, pushing his glasses up with a shaky finger. Solid granite. I've tried everything short of calling her bluff. Back outside, Tom broke the bad news, his tone flat but firm. Store says no go, Karen. Receipt's too old, way past the cutoff. Time to head home. Karen's face flushed a deep crimson, her eyes narrowing to slits. This is insane. Police in this town probably do donuts in the snow with their cars instead of helping people like me. I'll call your boss's boss. Someone's gonna hear about this. Cruller Cal grinned, waving his half-eaten bear claw like a tiny flag of triumph. 140 characters isn't enough to explain how much I love these, but it's plenty to say you're out of luck. Try corporate, lady. They love a good complaint. The crowd thinned out as Karen stormed off, her heels clicking a furious rhythm on the pavement, muttering threats about lawsuits and viral videos. Tom watched her silhouette fade into the dusk, then turned to Cruller Cal, his brow furrowed. She'll be back, won't she? This isn't over. With bells on and a megaphone, Cruller Cal said, popping the last bite of bear claw into his mouth with a satisfied chew. But I've got an idea brewing. Pastries might just save us next time. She can't resist forever. Tom arched a brow, skepticism creasing his forehead. You're kidding me, right? Nope, Cruller Cal replied, brushing off his hands with a flourish, sending crumbs flying. History says donut shops used to give us freebies to keep trouble away back in the day. Maybe it'll tame Karen, turn her from a tornado into a breeze. Tom shook his head, sliding into the driver's seat with a tired grunt. You're wild, Cal, wilder than a bag of feral cats. But next time she rolls in, we'll test this crazy plan of yours. What's the worst that could happen? A week later, the radio buzzed again, the dispatcher's voice tinged with a wariness that matched Tom's own. Unit 9, QuickMart's got Karen back. She's up the ante, threatening to chain herself to the counter like some kind of retail martyr. Tom sighed, turning the cruiser onto Pine, the headlights slicing through the growing dark. She's a one-woman riot, Cal. I hope your donut trick's ready, because I'm out of patience. Cruller Cal tapped a box beside him, 6 fresh pastries from Sweet Haven, still warm, the cardboard edges soft with steam. Donut discriminate, donut harass, peace edition. Let's see if she takes the bait or if we're just feeding her ammo. They pulled up to a scene straight out of a low-budget drama. Karen stood inside QuickMart, arms crossed defiantly, a bike chain swinging from her fist like a makeshift flail. The crowd was thicker this time, a sea of curious faces pressed against the glass, phones out, filming the standoff like it was prime-time entertainment. Tom pushed through the throng, his shoulders squared, while Cruller Cal followed, clutching the donut box like a got wielding a shield. All right, Karen, Tom said, his voice sharp enough to cut through her bluster. What's it gonna take to stop this circus? She glared, rattling the chain with a metallic clank that echoed off the tiled floor. My refund. Bank lies, calls cops. This is oppression, plain and simple. I'm not moving an inch. Cruller Cal stepped up, flipping open the box with a dramatic flourish. The scent of sugar and cinnamon wafted out, a sweet cloud that seemed to soften the air, cutting through the tension like a warm knife. You just can't take the donut out of the cup, and I'm betting you can't resist 'em either. Grab one, Karen. Let's chat instead of shout. Karen blinked, her tirade faltering as the aroma hit her, throwing her off her game. What? What's this supposed to be? Gotta give it up to the coffee donut combo, he said, offering a chocolate-glazed donut, its surface glossy under the fluorescent lights. I saw a guy try to bribe a cop with one once. Hilarious. But this ain't a bribe, I swear. It's a ceasefire, a truce. The crowd buzzed, a mix of chuckles and murmurs rippling through, some leaning in to catch her reaction. Karen paused, her hand hovering, then snatched the donut with a reluctant grunt, taking a bite that left chocolate smudged on her lip. Explain like I'm 5. Why should I trust you two? She mumbled through crumbs, her tone still sharp but wavering. Because, Tom said, seizing the opening, his voice calm but firm, we're here to help, not brawl with you in aisle 3. Let's talk cops and donuts. We're not just here for snacks, despite what Cal might think. Drop the chain, and we'll figure this out together. Shockingly, she did. The chain clattered to the floor with a dull thud, the sound swallowed by the crowd's collective gasp. Cruller Cal handed her the box, his grin wide enough to split his face. If you ever wondered where Karen came from, it's from moments like this. Epic, legendary stuff. Keep the rest? Call it square? Karen stared at the pastries, her fingers tightening around the cardboard, then nodded slowly, almost grudgingly. Okay, but I'm still ticked. Don't think this fixes everything. Good enough for me, Tom said, ushering her toward the door with a gentle but insistent hand. The crowd erupted into scattered applause, then dispersed as the drama fizzled out, leaving the store quiet save for the hum of the freezers. Back in the cruiser, Cruller Cal leaned back in his seat, smug as a cat with a canary. "Told ya," he said, his voice thick with triumph as he patted his belly. "History of donut lovers says it's about showing up when it counts. Donuts just seal the deal. Nailed it, didn't I?" Tom started the engine, the rumble vibrating through the seats as he smirked. "You're still wild, Cal, wilder than a thunderstorm in July. But I'll give it to you this time. Why did I become a cop? Maybe for days like this, not just the donuts, but the weird winds." As they drove off, Riverside's streets shimmered under the glow of streetlights, the city settling into a calm that felt fragile, temporary. Karen might return, her indignation stoked anew by some fresh slight, but with Cruller Cal's secret weapon tucked away in a bakery box, they'd be ready, armed with sugar, spice, and a stubborn hope that even the wildest storms could be tamed.